The significance of Mecca, the holiest city in Islam. Mecca is regarded as the holiest city in Islam. Besides being the birthplace of Prophet Muhammad, it is also home to the holiest site of worship in Islam, the Great Mosque, known as Al-Masjid Al-Haram. Additionally, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, Hajj, involves a multi-day pilgrimage to this city. Located in the western part of the Arabian Peninsula, in the region known today as Makkah, the city was an important religious and commercial center even before Islam's emergence. This is because it was an oasis along trade routes connecting the Mediterranean to South Arabia, East Africa, and the Indian subcontinent. Due to its strategic geographic location, Mecca developed significantly during the Roman and Byzantine periods. It is likely that the city was also known to peoples of the Hellenistic era. In Ptolemy's geography, a city called Makoraba is mentioned in the interior of the Arabian Peninsula. This city has traditionally been identified with Mecca, although some modern scholars have questioned this claim. Nevertheless, ancient references to Mecca are scarce, and the primary sources of information about this part of its history come from later Islamic and Arab sources. For example, Islamic tradition traces the history of Mecca back to the beginning of the world. It is believed that when Adam and Eve were expelled from paradise, they parted ways. Adam landed on the island of Sri Lanka, while Eve went to an area known today as Jeddah. After wandering for some time, Adam and Eve were reunited by God on Mount Arafat, east of Mecca. Arab sources also state that Adam in Arabic, is buried in Mecca, while Eve is buried near Jeddah. Another significant event associated with Mecca in Islamic tradition is the story of the Great Flood. It is said that during the flood, Noah's Ark came to Mecca and circled 7 times around Adam's disintegrating body. According to the Quran, Abraham and his son Ishmael, Ibrahim and Ismail, descended from Hagar, were responsible for building or rebuilding the Kaaba in Mecca. Mecca is also linked to Ibrahim, through the belief that Hagar nourished Ishmael there, and that he was healed by the waters of the Zamzam well. Muslims refer to the pre-Islamic period on the Arabian Peninsula as Jahiliyyah, meaning the age of ignorance. The term Jahiliyyah is often used with a negative connotation. However, this period is considered important for Muslims because it highlights the transformation brought about by Islam in Arab life. Some features of the Jahiliyyah era include idol worship, tribalism, and practices such as female infanticide. In short, the Jahiliyyah period is viewed as a dark age. Interestingly, the term Jahiliyyah is also regarded positively in some contexts, as pre-Islamic Arabic poetry, considered part of the literary heritage, has been appreciated by Muslims. The emergence of Islam is usually depicted as a radical break from the Jahiliyyah era. The history of Islam began in Mecca in 570 CE, the traditional year of Prophet Muhammad's birth. During his early life, he lived as an ordinary man. It is said that Muhammad's father died before he was born, and his mother passed away when he was only 6 years old. He was then raised by his grandfather until his death 2 years later. Afterwards, his uncle, Abu Talib, who became the leader of the Hashim clan, took care of him. According to a tradition, while accompanying his uncle on a trade journey to Syria, Muhammad was recognized as a future prophet by a Christian monk. At the age of 25, he married a wealthy woman named Khadija, who was 40. She had employed Muhammad to oversee her trade caravans in Syria and was so impressed by him that she married him. Some time later, Muhammad began to withdraw from others, staying in a cave near Mecca for meditation. One night, at the age of 40, while meditating in the cave, he saw the angel Jibril, who delivered his first revelation. The angel instructed him with the opening verses of Surah Al-Alaq, 96, recite in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot. Recite, and your Lord is the most generous. The encounter initially disturbed Muhammad, but he was comforted by Khadija and her relative Waraka ibn Nawfal, a Christian who confirmed Muhammad's prophethood. Muhammad continued to receive revelations from Jibril, but for the next 3 years, he was instructed to share them only with a close circle of friends. Later, God commanded him to preach publicly. At first, the people of Mecca did not oppose Muhammad, but when he began to declare that there was no deity but Allah, he faced strong resistance from the Quraysh, the ruling tribe in Mecca. This was because Muhammad's monotheism was seen as a challenge to the traditional beliefs and practices of the Quraysh. Moreover, they feared that accepting Muhammad's message would ruin the city's economy, as pagan pilgrims would no longer come to Mecca. Despite opposition from most residents, Muhammad was protected by his clan, allowing him to remain in the city. However, in 619 CE, his uncle Abu Talib died, and the leadership of the clan passed to the Prophet's other uncle, Abu Lahab. Abu Lahab opposed Muhammad, withdrawing his protection. This made Muhammad less secure in Mecca. In 622 CE, Muhammad and his followers migrated from Mecca to Medina, a journey known as the Hijra. The year 622 marks the start of the Islamic calendar. In 630, the Muslims, now strong enough, marched into Mecca with their army. The city's inhabitants submitted, and the Prophet declared an amnesty for all. Despite being the holiest city in Islam, Mecca never became the capital of any Islamic state. For example, Prophet Muhammad's successors, the Rashidun Caliphs, ruled from Medina, except for the fourth Caliph, Ali, who moved the capital to Kufa. The Umayyad dynasty governed from Damascus, while the Abbasids later moved the capital to Baghdad. When it was conquered by the Mongols, the capital temporarily shifted to Cairo. Ultimately, the Ottoman caliphs ruled from Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul. Nevertheless, Islamic rulers continued to contribute to the upkeep of the holy city and served as its protectors. For instance, the title protector of the two holy cities, Mecca and Medina, was held by various Muslim leaders throughout history. As a sacred city, Mecca retained its significance in Islamic faith. The clearest sign of this is that Muslims pray facing Mecca 5 times daily. Another unmistakable indication of its religious importance is the role the city plays during Hajj. Hajj is the final of the 5 pillars of Islam, which states that every Muslim who is physically and financially able must undertake a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their lifetime. One of the most important rituals of Hajj is tawaf, the act of walking around the Kaaba 7 times in a counterclockwise direction. The Kaaba is a small shrine located near the Al-Masjid Al-Haram mosque and is considered by Muslims as the holiest place on earth. According to Islamic belief, Ibrahim, was instructed by God to lead Hagar and their son Ishmael, Illinois, from Palestine to Arabia to protect them from the jealousy of Sarah, Abraham's first wife. He took them to the site where Mecca is now located and left them there, as God commanded. Although he left some provisions and water before departing, Hagar and Ishmael soon suffered from hunger and thirst. Desperate, Hagar ran to the top of 2 hills, Safa and Marwa, to seek help. Finally, Hagar sat down exhausted and prayed to God. At that moment, Ishmael struck the ground with his heel, from which water gushed out, saving them from death. This event is believed to be the origin of the well of Zamzam. The source of Zamzam is considered to be a branch of the water of paradise. The miracle not only saved Hagar and Ishmael but also provided them with sustenance. Shortly afterward, Abraham returned to see how Hagar and Ishmael were doing, and God commanded him to build the Kaaba. According to a Quranic verse, Abraham was instructed to reconstruct the sanctuary. This may suggest that an earlier shrine existed, possibly built by Adam. Over time, however, the inhabitants of Mecca became polytheists, placing statues of various gods inside the Kaaba. When Muhammad's followers took control of the city in 630 CE, the Kaaba was cleansed of pagan idols. On its eastern corner is the Black Stone. As part of Tawaf, pilgrims touch and kiss this sacred object. The Black Stone is believed to date back to the time of Adam and Eve. According to Islamic tradition, this stone was given to Adam when he was expelled from paradise, so he could seek forgiveness for his sins. It is said that the Black Stone was hidden during the Great Flood but was returned to Abraham when he was building or reconstructing the Kaaba. Legend has it that the stone was originally white but turned black due to the sins of countless pilgrims who touched and kissed it. Mecca's status as the holiest city in Islam has been maintained since the faith's inception. Over nearly 1,400 years, Mecca has experienced many ups and downs. For example, the ownership of the holy city changed numerous times throughout its long history. In 1269, Mecca came under Mamluk control, and in 1517, it fell to the Ottomans. In 1925, it was conquered by the Saudis, and since then has remained part of their kingdom. However, for believers, such political changes are secondary, as Hajj has been performed there for centuries regardless of who has ruled the city.